watched Rihanna announce her pregnancy.
There you go. That was the most important play of the game.
It was.
Ooh, man, I
I
don't
was
think
like,
how she
man,
survived all that up and down, though.
I was like, man, she's really not going all out this year at all. And then everyone was like, yeah, because she's pregnant. It's like,
I
oh,
thought she just had her baby.
she did. She's pregnant again. She's pregnant with her second.
Oh,
She just had a baby in May. She's pregnant
okay.
again.
Well, that's not like just having a baby.
Yeah.
3 months, pregnant again. Bam.
Well, yeah,
It can happen.
it can. Hey,
Children
Brady.
almost born in the same year.
Yeah, almost. What do they call that?
I don't know what they call it.
They call it some kind of twin.
It's crazy. I'm telling you. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. Jonathan, did you stay up all night? Did you stay up to watch the game? Yeah.
He did. I don't know if he's able to unmute.
I did. I was doing some work, watching.
It was good. I mean, it was a good game. I was worried about the defense at first with Kansas City, but they came back.
Yeah, they sure did. Bella said, I was asleep. She's gotten to watch the Super Bowl and the World Cup. So I asked her what her favorite kind of football was. She doesn't have a preference.
She said, she's just trying to understand if you're talking about a new ceiling fan or not. That's the Ceiling Fan World Series. Anyway, yeah. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the call. It is, yeah, so we were at a friend's house on the other side of town. And when I say on the other side of town, that's an hour and 10 minutes away. And my plan was to leave about halfway through the game and come home if it was going to be like, everybody, kind of a boring game. But I mean, it just kept on getting better and better. And, all that, the whole game, I mean, it was like back and forth. And I love that. I love that kind of game because you never knew, somebody was going to, it's like it was almost coming down to the last possession was going to win the game. And really, effectively, that's what it was, But, it was, I guess it was like, several months ago, I was watching another game where the guy basically they were going to win. They were going to win, and all they had to do was do the field goal, right? Because but the players celebrated so much, ended up pushing the kick back 10 yards, right? And they missed the field goal, and because of that, they ended up losing the game in the end. Then they went into overtime. And then I look at last night, and I look at how clever it was when that guy was the last as they're approaching the goal line, he could have went in. He could have scored with still 2 minutes on the board or a minute and a half or whatever it was, and he slid right before the goal line, and that's what set it up for them to have the kick to win, and nothing left on the clock really for the other team to do anything with. And it's crazy to me, but I was thinking about it this morning. I'm like, you know what? This is the good stuff, right? I mean, this is where everybody was on their A game. Everybody was thinking the whole time. They knew what they needed to do. They probably rehearsed it over and over again, and that's kind of where my mind is this morning. They probably rehearsed that scenario. They've definitely all rehearsed those scenarios, right? Over and over and over again, and they were ready, and I think this goes into our business in a lot of ways. Yesterday, Yankees and baby Bella came over and we went walking and we're talking about different things going on, and it's kind of like you got to be prepared for anything that comes at your way. You really have to, and I just I was pulling for Kansas City anyway. I'm sorry if you're an Eagles fan, but I was pulling for Kansas City simply because we got to watch Mahomes play in college when our son was a cheerleader at Texas Tech. And he was a great, phenomenal player then, and he's turning into an even more phenomenal player and just an all around good guy. And I think that's the most important thing, you know. Just my thoughts, and I'd like to hear, if anybody else has some thoughts, around what, why do we as a society, why do we in America like really rally around this thing called the Super Bowl, the epic battle, between two teams coming together, I'm kind of a little down on Philly, and that they got some damage because they were upset fans, but there's passion in that, and I was just thinking just about how Mahomes really, everybody just calls him Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes, right? And how he went from an ankle injury before halftime to coming back and continuing to play. And you could tell he tweaked it a little bit in one of those last handful of plays, but he knew that this was his time. This was his time on the field. This is what was going to make or break him. And if he didn't lead, if he didn't play, game would have been over. And he needed to be there. And just the way he just broke through that, and I know he's probably been planning it for years. I mean, been working on it in his head that, what would happen if this, what would happen if that. But I don't know about y'all. If my ankle got hurt like that, I'd be out on the couch with ice, get me elevated, bring me something to drink, give me an ice bag for my head, give me some pain meds. I'm going to be out, And he went out and played like nothing had happened to him. That's the phenomenal thing about the sport, and we got good legends, and I think Mahomes is one of the legends in the making. I think I was reading this morning where is he the next Brady? I don't know if he's the next Brady, but I tell you what, he's this generation's person to look up to. He's definitely one of those guys that is a good guy all around, doing some great things, and out there winning and having his head on his shoulders. I mean, I could tell at the end when they were interviewing him, he was just like talking 90 miles an hour. He says, he was just I'm sure he's on a lot of adrenaline, and I'm sure this morning his ankle's probably about this big, but that's how you win the game, is just breaking through, and you had a commitment to play that time, and he was going to do it, and that's how he was going to do it. So, good morning, welcome. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day. I think everybody took this weekend as Valentine's Day weekend, because I've been worried every single day, like, oh crap, is it Valentine's? Is it Valentine's? Like, oh no, did I get something? Anyway, it's been a good weekend. We've had some, restful day. Saturday was a restful day around here. And yesterday was just, go get 'em day. But I'm fired up. Jonathan, what'd you learn from the game last night? How would you apply some of those lessons? You were probably like me, just going like, damn, it's good.
Yeah, it was a great game. I think it's always fun to watch any competitive sport. I think that's why everyone loves it. Football is obviously famous in America more than other countries, but I think it's just the fact of, getting together and watching the team compete. People like that. But it's interesting to note, Mahomes actually went to high school in a small town close to where I grew up, White House, Texas. And he was only a 3-star quarterback, which typically you never go to. Typically, you're not looked at if you're 3-star going into college. Most colleges will take you if you're 5-star. So it's just interesting to note that. And now he's won 2 Super Bowls now. But they wrote an article about him when he won the first one. He was working out the next day with his trainer, like the very next day, which is pretty, it's not the most common thing, right? But anyways, it's just interesting. Like anybody can win, if you decide that you want to win and you have some support around you, you can do a lot more than most people tell you can. So It's cool, man. I mean, it didn't look like they're going to win halfway through the game.
You know,
So,
they
I
were
mean,
down by double digits coming out of the half, right?
yeah.
And
So, yeah. And like
it's
this business, I thought about like, typically we break it up in quarters. So, it's just because you had a quarter that was, down doesn't mean your year is going to be down, or even
you
a
know
week
you
or a
know
month.
our good buddy Doc Rock. He's got a new book out, and I need to get it. There are no bad days. I need to call him today too. But there are no bad days, and I think in this business, and we forget sometimes that even the folks that turn up good numbers all the time, that we always go like, man, they just do that every single week. And I'm just here to tell you, no, they don't. They have bad days. They have bad times. They have bad appointments. They have bad policies. You have bad clients. You have, this challenge to you all the time about, am I going to be able to make the breakthrough and get some business in? And I'd say it to the point of, it's almost, you get a panic feeling when you're like, man, I'm having a bad streak. Is it going to get better? Is it going to get better? And I always come back to, if your skill is there, it'll always get better, right? Because given the skill, given the time and effort you're putting into it, so those are three things you got to work on, right? Your skill, get yourself better, and everybody can be better every single day. Everybody can be a little bit better. And I'll say this because Michelle's, on her way to on her way to do some blood work this morning. That even Michelle Alleman can get better. Everybody can get a little bit better. And I go even somebody like Megan Wood. You see some of her stuff. Michelle posted some things this weekend. Because she was just sitting, we were in bed, we're just kind of resting around, just having a restful day, and Michelle had. Y'all think us weird, right? But Michelle's got, Megan Wood on her phone, playing, and, you just kind of listen to some of these things and you go, you know what? And here's the crazy thing. If you truly believe everybody can get better, then that takes a lot of pressure off of you, right? Because that means that you're okay. You have permission to get better, And so, just listening to some of her pitches and so forth that she was kind of doing some role playing with, I'm like, you know what? Michelle can do that better. Megan can do that better. I'm just thinking in the back of my head, what makes her so powerful in the company, right? Like, why has she done so much business? And I think it's just because, and this is, I've listened to a lot of things, both her story and some of the stories that people tell, and my thought process is that, she's just like Mahomes, right? I mean, in the game last night, when she goes out there, she's on game. She's going to be focused. She's going to be in the game to win, and she's getting there. I don't know if y'all have heard this story, but it's been a few years ago. Michelle used to travel out just about every other weekend to different parts of the country. And there's two times that come up to my memory and go like, wow, how would I have handled this, right? And one was, Michelle's running, I think, a business in Las Vegas. I could be wrong. Stopped in at a Panda, one of these Asian places, go whatever it is, I forget what Panda stuff, Panda Express, right? Sorry, Panda Express. I don't care, right? But gets some kind of food poisoning, ends up going home for the evening, laying in bed, stomach's hurting, all this crazy stuff. Gets up the next day, rescheduled all her appointments, and went back out there, and still came back with winnings, right? Like, not winnings, but actual clients, got people in appointments now, and it's interesting because we send out postcards for birthdays every month, and and she was just talking to some clients the other day that were from that, from Vegas time, and I just go, that was a moment where, she was determined. Now, of course, she was traveling away, so we always had that pressure, right? But she was just determined, like, look, I'm not going to just lay it down and just let this go. I'm going to go through. And more importantly, it's not just about playing the game. It's also about, about getting some wins in, getting some scores in. So she knew that she needed to close business because that was going to have, pay for the trip. You can't just go on unlimited trips without making some money, right? Another time I remember, she was up in on the East Coast. I think it was Connecticut or New Hampshire or something like that. But she's out there. She's driving down the highway. Car comes on, and it was kind of snowy out there. And another car comes on the highway and basically, hit and runs her, bumps her into the median, spins around, ends up against that, the railing on the inside of the median. What do you know? It gets calls up the rental car company and says, hey, I need y'all to come get this car. I just got in a hit and run, yada, yada, yada. Long story short, got another car, got out there the next day and went back after it, right? In other words, nothing was going to really, shake her to get out there and make some things happen. And I think, these are stories. It's kind of like, we're a culture of great stories. And a couple of us are, on the trip this year, the annual trip that we do, the one that's going to Ireland here in another 45 days or so, right? And, I'm thinking about just every life has stories that need to be told so that it inspires other people to get out there and do things, right? And I think that's what, there's a lot of stories around Ireland, so I'm fired up about that. But just the resilience of their people, not their beer drinking. They're famous for that too, right? But just their pubs, right? But the resilience, and if you've listened to anything about the Irish people, they're fierce when it comes to we're going to win. And so I'm challenging everybody this morning, and I'll let some, if anybody else wants to say some words on this, I just want to challenge you guys that it's just February 13th, right? We're 2 months in, a month and a half really into the year, not even out of the first quarter. There is time to make big moves and change things in your life this year, and figure out how to get some more sales, figure out how to make some money here. That's going to be life-changing, 2010, that was a life-changing moment when Michelle brought me home, right? Those are life-changing moments. Since that time, this is the only business we've done, day in and day out, cancer, no cancer. This is the only business that we've done. I've been, so I'm excited about, and hopefully inspiring, the football game last night just kind of really inspired me that, this is a moment. This is our game. The game of football is the same as the game of life insurance. We just got to get out there and help people and serve them. And the last thing I'll say about the game, and this was very interesting, Johnny, was, years ago, we kind of had these some folks from New Zealand on a travel abroad program stay with us, and we learned about the haka they do down there, and I think I don't know if it's not rugby. Is it rugby? The haka for? I don't know. Or is it soccer?
In New Zealand?
Yeah.
I think it's rugby.
Yeah.
There's a famous team out there called
the All Blacks, right?
Yeah, it's rugby.
Yeah. So it's rugby, right? And I'm watching last night game. This is where I got to give credit to Philadelphia for. And I think they're the team that got this new rule approved. But when they're down there, they got 2 to 3 yards to go. They just get into what I call the rugby huddle, and they just kind of push through the guy with the ball, push him over the line. And I'm like, that wasn't part of the game. 2 years ago, that was something they studied, they brought to the game. I was half waiting for Kansas City to try it, but you know what? They stuck to their game plan, right? They knew what they could do. So but Philadelphia's been pretty innovative. And look, if it hadn't been for that last drive, y'all, it could have went either way. It certainly could have went either way. I would not want to be the kicker who had to make that last score. Not my thing. I wouldn't wanted to be him because, man, I was like, that's a lot of pressure. But you know what? He does that every day. Hundreds, if not, multiple hundreds of time. His leg knows what to do. It's on autopilot, right? He just knows how it feels. He knows what it's supposed to feel like. nerves and everything else, he can get out there and do it. So anyway, I'm fired up about it. Whew. Good morning, Brandy. Good morning, Sonia, Cedric, Miss Diane.
Yeah, I would just say, in the same sense, we were talking about football, like that's a lot more physical than our business is. Obviously, we don't get actually punched or kicked down like they do, but sometimes like we kind of do, just not physically. And I think the hardest part, and maybe something that you guys all deal with, because I know I do, is just like the mental battle of continuing to push forward, right? And like all the little things, like can I make this sale that's I feel like is a little bit out of my league, or can I learn this new product to help put this client in the best position, or can I figure out this new e-app, or all the things. We get it. It's all a mental battle. And that's why we have so many places to come to daily and weekly to be inspired and motivated to continue to just take one more step forward. Because at the end of the day, every day that you're out there, I mean, it's kind of like you're playing for your life, right? That's how I feel when I'm out there helping clients. But you just have to take one step at a time, one foot in front of the other, like Tim Goad says, right?
Absolutely.
It's good to see you, Brandy. Hopefully you'll be in New Zealand with us next year. I'm sure you will.
Well, all right, guys, we got another cup of coffee on the way from me. Like, hey, it was hard for me to get up this morning. I was going snooze. I got to get up next time, snooze. And here I am. So thank y'all for being on the call this morning, man. We appreciate you, and really this is kind of like our time to kind of chat, because we hear a lot of things on the daily coaching call coming up here at 9:00. That's for everybody, right? To get around some daily coaching, things that are happening, whether it's you being coached or somebody else being coached, there's something good being said on these calls. And never forget, that, talking to your mentors and your leaders directly, one-on-one is just as important. Don't feel that the call is just, this is where we want you to go. We do. We want you to use the call. We want you to use the tools. We want you to use the things that are made available because it makes us all better, right? There's no toolkit that, myself or anybody else has that's not accessible to you. And, let's just take time to start figuring out how to learn some of these things and get each other better, and that's the main thing, is that we're all here to help each other. Well, with that said, y'all have a great morning. See y'all at 9:00 on the coaching call. We got some numbers. We're gonna go talk to the top 3 today from production. So there's a lot of good stuff going to be happening. And anyway, make it a great day. It's Monday, y'all. Let's get the day going and get started. All right. We'll talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.